All right, welcome back to the Beacon exercise. We're diving into Module 2, and this is where the real action happens. It's time to turn all that information you gathered into actual, tangible help. So you ready? Let's jump right in. Okay, so let's just quickly recap. In Module 1, you and your teams were out there, right, on the ground, collecting all those vital field reports about what was happening in your communities. You were literally the eyes and ears of this whole operation. And through all that hard work, you found the problems. We're talking infrastructure damage, resource shortages, communication blackouts. You pinpointed exactly what needed to be fixed. That was a huge and critical first step. Which, of course, brings us to the big question for Module 2. Now what? You've got all this data, all this information. How do you actually get the solutions? How do we turn a problem into help on the way? Well, that's what we're going to break down right now. Okay, so the first step in this journey, from finding a problem to getting a solution, is to get all that raw information to one central place. And that place is your county's Emergency Operations Center, or EOC. So all those reports you collected, they all get funneled straight to the EOC. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. What if my group doesn't have a big, formal EOC? Don't worry about it. You can just pick someone to be a coordinator, a sort of proxy, and they'll handle the exact same job. Once all those reports start flooding in, the EOC team just springs into action. And their process? It's actually pretty simple, but it's super powerful. First, they take in all the information. Then, they start grouping it into categories. The whole goal here is to take what looks like total chaos, a flood of messages, and turn it into one single, clear picture of what's happening. And this is a great way to see how they do it. They're basically sorting everything into these big buckets, right? Things like immediate life safety needs, that's top priority. Then you have major infrastructure issues, and of course, critical resource shortages. By sorting it this way, they can finally see the big picture and start figuring out what's most important. Okay, so now we get to the real meat of this module. This is the most important part. How do we take those neatly organized needs and turn them into formal, actionable requests for help? This is where the magic happens. So you've got this list of problems. How in the world do you decide what to ask for first? It all comes down to asking three really powerful questions. First, what is the most urgent thing, the stuff that's a direct threat to life? Second, what issue is impacting the most people? And finally, a really important one, what problems are just too big for us to handle on our own, with our local resources? And check this out. This is a perfect example of a great request. I mean, look how clear this is. It tells you exactly who is asking, what they need, 20 pallets of water, when and where they need it delivered, and who the point of contact is. See that? No confusion. This is the gold standard we're all aiming for. And that really gets to the heart of what a resource request is. It's a clear, specific, and actionable ask. You know, it's not just a vague, hey, we need some help over here. It's, we need this specific thing at this specific place by this specific time. That's what gets results. Now, to get even more specific, you've got to understand two super important terms, kind and type. Kind is pretty easy. It's just what the thing is, a fire engine. But type is all about its capability. So a type 1 engine, that's the most capable one, the big gun. As the number goes up, like a type 2 or 3, the capabilities go down. Using these terms makes sure there's zero confusion about what you're asking for. All right, perfect. Now you know how to build a rock-solid request. So what happens next? Well, Module 2 is a two-way street. You're going to be sending requests out, but you're also going to be responding to them. This is what we call the mutual aid loop, and you're about to see it in action. Okay, when you're sending your request, sticking to the process is absolutely key. You're going to use the EMA or the resource request forms they give you. Make sure to include an internal tracking number, that's important, and then send it out using WinLink or a group email to everyone participating. Why everyone? Because it keeps us all on the same page and helps prevent two different teams from trying to solve the same problem. And what about when a request comes in? The process is just as straightforward. First thing, carefully read it and understand what they're asking for. Next, take a look at your own team and figure out what you can realistically give. And hey, don't worry if you can't fill the entire order. That's totally okay. The last step is just to send a clear response confirming exactly what you can support. Trust me, even partial help is a huge deal. And here's a really important rule for this exercise, so listen up. To keep everything flowing smoothly, all resource requests are going to be accepted. The focus here isn't on actually moving physical stuff around. It's all about practicing the process, the communication, until it becomes second nature for everybody. All right, we have covered a ton of ground. So let's wrap this up by putting it all together in a simple checklist. This is your mission for Module 2. Here it is. This is the whole thing, start to finish. Your mission is to take in that field info, organize it and prioritize the needs, craft those crystal clear resource requests, send your requests out to the other counties, and respond to the requests that come in to you. That's it. That's the entire workflow. And never forget why we're doing this. Every single message you send, every form you fill out, you're building muscle memory. This whole process is designed to make our coordination better, to sharpen our communication, and to build that real-world readiness for when it really truly counts. Look, in a real emergency, clear communication isn't just a nice thing to have, it's absolutely critical. It saves time, it saves resources, and it saves lives. You've got the process, you've got the tools, so the only question left is, are you ready to act?